Hey folks, everybody's friend Fromark here once again, this time with part 4 of Knuckles Chaotix. And in the previous part I accidentally jumped into the special stage. And since I've already got all the Chaos Rings, basically the special stages repeat from special stage 1, but with a fancy wireframe effect on the stages that makes it even more difficult to maneuver. I do not know what you get as a reward though for getting all the blue spheres if you manage to, as I just find this to be kind of a pointless bonus. Although wireframes are pretty cool to look at, in my opinion. And I also feel like it's a very underutilized effect in video games even to this day. I don't think any games really use wireframes anymore though, because it was just kind of a fancy thing to show off early 3D back in the day. But anyways, the goal here is just the same as it was before. However, my goal here for now is to just get the heck out of here. I do not manage to complete this special stage's spoilers, as I just wanted to show it off in all of its chaotic glory. I mean, this is Knuckles Chaotix after all, so it would make sense that a little bit of the game is chaotic. Yeah, here we go. Wait. Aw, man. Wait, here we go. Now I can get the heck out of here. And that is exactly what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna mosey on over to Amazing Arena 2, folks. Once again, playing through Amazing Arena with Charmy B as my partner. No big deal here, as the goal once again is simple. Just find the light switch, turn it on, and then go up, up, and away. As moving upwards is definitely your friend in some of these levels. I'll travel through this fancy UFO thingy here. But yeah, those wireframes pretty much just show off some early 3D effects, and honestly, other than the special stages, I feel like Knuckles Chaotix could have easily been a Sega Genesis game, as there's really not too much different from your typical Sonic game on the Genesis, other than a couple of fancy effects here and there. But even then, they probably could have just used their fancy 3D chip that they used in Virtual Racing on the Genesis. I don't know, it just seems kind of pointless. But then again, Knuckles Chaotix was considered for the Sega Saturn at one point, but it was also... But when it was in the Sonic Crackers era of development, it was like a Sega Genesis game? I don't know, there's just so little known about this game and the background behind it. I wish more would come out at this point. It's been over 2 decades. But yeah, it's pretty cool to think that this was supposed to be a Sega Saturn game at one point, which I would have been fine with, as Sega Saturn didn't really have any proper Sonic games on it. I mean, sure, it had Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic R, and Sonic Jam, but those aren't mainline Sonic games. Unfortunately, Sonic Extreme was supposed to be that mainline Sonic game. And, of course, Sonic Team had nothing to do with it, because, you know, they didn't really seem interested in doing anything Sonic-related in the mid-90s, but... Oh yeah, that blue ring monitor that I got back there, I should have mentioned that. It also makes a reappearance in Sonic Mania, and basically what it does is if you get hit, it turns all your rings into one giant ring, and you can recollect it. Pretty cool little power-up / gimmick. But yeah, there was supposed to be a Sonic game on the Saturn called Sonic Extreme, and it actually was supposed to come out around the time I was born. Unfortunately, that did not happen, as there were just too many disagreements between Sega of America and Sega of Japan, and just a lot of crap that had been ongoing and building up from the 32X era, and then the Saturn was a complete and total disaster at launch. And I do feel like if Sonic Extreme would have come out, maybe the Sega Saturn would have done a little bit better. Probably not by much, considering all the burned bridges by Sega during that era, but still would have been cool. And all the prototypes and demos and fan versions of Sonic Extreme that are available look like and seem like a lot of fun. I haven't really played through any of them yet. Anyways, here we got Marina Madness 3. And once again, the goal here is to get through the ships. This time I got Heavy with me. But yeah, getting heavy into Sonic Extreme again, it breaks my heart a little bit that Sonic Extreme never really came to be, as there was a lot of wasted potential, and a lot of developers pretty much nearly sacrificed themselves to get that game out, and it just didn't happen. You had one developer who caught pneumonia, and then another one who had like an unspecified illness, and just the development cycle just seemed like a complete nightmare. Which is just an absolute shame, because like I said, everything that's available with Sonic Extreme just seems like a lot of fun and seems up my alley. And I definitely feel like it would have helped the Saturn at least a little bit. Although I do not know how much it would have set Sonic back, because, I mean, it wasn't developed by Sonic Team, and I feel like if Sonic Extreme happened, maybe we wouldn't have gotten Sonic Adventure or Sonic R or any of the stuff that came after. Because it pretty much changed course, because once Sonic Extreme didn't happen, Sonic Team was pretty much like backed into a corner where they had to make Sonic Jam and R, and eventually led to Sonic Adventure. I just don't know. There's so many what-ifs behind it. But everything that is available with Sonic R or Sonic Extreme's awesome. Sonic R is also awesome. Maybe one of these days, though, I will do some playthroughs of the demos and prototypes and fan games. There are some good fan projects of Sonic Extreme out there, it's just none of them ever seem to get very far. You have Sonic Z-Dream, which never got far, Sonic Extreme Unity, and then you got the most recent one, the voxel version of Sonic Extreme, which I feel like does a really good job of recreating what could have been. Other than a few music choices, I think it's pretty solid. But that's going to do it for Marina Madness 3. And keep things rolling along here. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that, yeah, I do in fact knock out the rest of Marina Madness in this part, because I kept getting Marina Madness every time I hit the level select, which it's pretty much randomized. I mean, if you hit it at a certain time, it may put you somewhere, it may not. It just depends. But yeah, I got Charmy B with me this time. And I want to point out, though, that, like, I feel like Team Chaotix is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, you got your SBO, Vector, and Charmy who get recycled and pretty much recreated for Sonic Heroes as Team Chaotix, which pretty much the easy mode of Sonic Heroes, if I do say so myself. I mean, sure, you got Team Rose, but I feel like Chaotix is a little bit easier, because all you gotta do is just collect a certain number of MacGuffins through each level and go on about your business. And it's typically the one I knock out first when I play Heroes. Eventually, I would like to do a Let's Play of Sonic Heroes on the channel, but not quite there yet. I don't have all the equipment I need. And plus, if I'm gonna try to keep things chronological from here, I mean, I guess the next game I would need to record would be either, I think, Sonic the Fighters, or no, Tails Adventure on the Game Gear. Or both of the Tails games on the Game Gear. Both of which are pretty fun, but difficult and confusing at times. As opposed to the very straightforward nature of Knuckles Chaotix, when it isn't a maze to get through. But right now I got Big Knuckles, Big Knux, Big Chungus. Let's see what Big Knux does. And of course I'm all swapped around, as I didn't mention the power-up that allows you to switch your partner to the lead character. There's that little arrow monitor. And I got Big Charmy right now, as he is now no longer Big Charmy. Yeah, Marina Madness isn't a bad place. It's just, there's just not a whole lot to say really about any of the levels in Knuckles Chaotix, because there's just not enough going on, and they don't really seem to have much identity. I mean, I guess they got plenty of identity, considering this is a ship, and... ah, crap, I jumped in the special ring. No need to worry though, folks, because the magic of editing makes it to where I don't have to show that off. I mean, this playthrough would be twice as long if I showed off all the combi catcher stuff and all the hub worlds and all that nonsense. But I just want to keep things rolling along, so let's keep things rolling along to Marina Madness 5. This time around I got Heavy with me. And this time around, the day-night cycle is went into full swing as we got sunset mode activated right now. As if I were to go to Marina Madness 6, if there was one anyways, that would probably be the nighttime version of this. Another one of them fancy disintegrating platforms. But yeah, so at the end of... So pretty much like your standard Sonic game, at the end of each zone, at the end of each last act is the showdown with Eggman. So I anticipate a lengthy showdown with Dr. Eggman at the end of this. And based on where things are right now, looks like that'll pretty much finish out Part 4, but I'm not there just yet. And I accidentally got myself all switched around to where Heavy is the lead character, and I'm just gonna wait around for a minute because Heavy can't do anything. Heavy's useless as a lead character. I mean, you can't even pick Heavy as a lead character whenever you first pick at the beginning of the game. But really, Heavy and Bomb are the two most useless characters in Knuckles Chaotix. But no need to worry, as I'll just do what I need to do. Oh, and it looks like I'm gonna miss that giant power-up back there. Because at this point, I think I'm just trying to get through here as smoothly and quickly as possible. That's all I can really hope for. As you see, this zone has plenty of enemies, but they're never really in the right or even obnoxious places. They're just there. Certainly built up an amount of rings. And I can't get over those disintegrating platforms there. I think that's a really cool effect that the 32X pulls off. Though, I feel like that could be pulled off on a Genesis. Big Heavy coming at you. Though I don't know, I mean, disintegrating platforms probably could be pulled off in Genesis games. Maybe they have been. Whoa, I don't want that. I don't want that. No, I don't want that. But I do want this invincibility power-up, as that'll come in handy. It's not very often the invincibility power-up shows up in these levels. Or maybe it does and I just don't know. I think I've certainly got enough rings. It is kind of a bummer that there's no lives counter in this game, because that probably would have made things a little bit more difficult. On top of it being a nice bonus every time you get 100 rings. But whenever you get 100 rings here, nothing happens. A monitor did some trippy stuff there for a second. And I believe that's just another one of them fancy bonus rings. I don't need any of that. Don't need that in my life. But I do need some more of this music. This music slaps. I do believe that there are some percussion tracks that may have not have been capable in Genesis hardware. As I do believe the music sounds a lot smoother than it probably would in a Genesis version of the game. Anyways, here we got the boss battle. The first boss battle I get to show off Knuckles Chaotix. You get this little cutscene here. And you get some fancy 3D effects. Now I will disappoint y'all by pointing out that the boss battles in Knuckles Chaotix are pathetically easy for the most part. It's just a matter of being patient. So just let Eggman roll around in his fancy 3D thingy. Eventually, he will come out of that 3D shell, and I will be able to hit him. Eventually. Yeah, there he is. Bonk. I might want to get that giant ring to get all my rings back. Now, I cannot remember if you gotta hit him 8 times. And so far, I'm up to 4, 5, 6... and 7. Okay, yeah, it's just like your typical Sonic game. Just gotta hit him 8 times, and that's gonna do it for the Marina Madness boss, folks. And that's actually gonna do it for Part 4 of Knuckles Chaotix, folks. Thank you for tuning in this far, and I hope you'll tune in for the next part. Anyways, this is Fromark signing off. See you in part 5. Yeah.